Hi, Richard.
Hi, Fran. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm quite excited with this session
Yeah.
because we are going to do the first session explaining what are we doing. I think it's quite impressive, which is compliance, which is not new, but the pace, the pressure, and requirements are. So every year, smaller businesses are asked to meet the same standards as the world's largest companies, which is quite remarkable, and often with a fraction of the people or the time or the budgets. And that imbalance has created a market full of tools, consultants, and shortcuts, but very few are real solutions. But I think in this session, we are going to talk about a different approach, how we use decades of expertise with yourself and myself, and also AI to simplify compliance for every business, and why this marks a real turning point for the industry.
Yeah.
So I think that we can start with the basics. What exactly is pAIpertrail?
pAIpertrail. Okay. And that's spelled with a AI as
Yeah,
opposed to just PAPER. It's PAIPER. pAIpertrail, in a nutshell, is an AI-powered compliance management platform.
right,
It helps businesses to assess, to map and manage their obligations across numerous major frameworks.
right.
I would say all the relevant frameworks, including ISO frameworks, ESG, Cyber Essentials, and UK governance codes.
Right.
It's up to the company to select whether they want to adopt certain best practices, and it really comes down to serving their stakeholders, which
Yeah,
ones are going to be most relevant to them, right? But it basically provides the structure and intelligence needed to turn compliance from this fragmented manual process
yeah,
into a single unified workflow. In
right,
simple terms, pAIpertrail is where your compliance actually all comes together into a single environment.
right, right. So, and here's the thing. Actually, we seen in the news actually what happened in Australia. So Deloitte had to refund portion of the 500,000 they charged to the government with a report that actually was full of AI mistakes and hallucinations. So,
Mm.
because many tools today claim to use AI, so what makes this particular platform truly different?
Well, technically,
Yeah,
there's a world of difference between what's called agentic AI
right,
or chatbots, that kind of stuff, right? Those are flooding the market all over the place,
right.
right? And that's you've got your AI hype, and 99.9 times out of 100, it's agentic AI
Yeah,
that is being delivered. What we built is something that is called hybrid generative AI with machine learning.
right.
Yeah. That is not agentic AI. It's in a completely different league. All right. Um, Most so-called AI tools imitate understanding. They react to prompts,
Right,
basically,
right.
right? And there's a lot people learning how to prompt more effectively. It's called prompt engineering, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But pAIpertrail, because of its use of AI and machine learning, builds actual understanding,
right.
recognizing relationships between your business and frameworks and disclosures and metrics,
Yeah,
and it structures them into something actionable.
yeah,
I believe it's the best use of the concepts of AI, and the interaction with the tool and with the platform can
yeah,
be very similar to a chat GPT interaction,
yeah.
but what's behind it is not agentic chatbot,
Right,
right?
right.
It's a lot of training, a lot of master data, a lot of relationships that have been pre-built,
Yeah,
and machine learning that is paying attention to everything all of the time, right? That's why
right,
it delivers outputs you can actually audit,
right.
not just conversations that you can read.
Yeah, no, that's how for example, Teradata is their core is database,
Hmm.
AI, and machine learning. So that the trick is the combination of these two, which is quite impressive for a small enterprise and mid-market to have these tools available to them now through paperwork.
It's
But
highly uncommon. Yes,
yeah,
correct.
and so but how does pAIpertrail actually do all that without showing the kitchen, if you may?
Okay, well, it's basically, you could call it a guided journey, right?
Right,
Not a
right,
one-off assessment, all right? There are steps to it. First step is onboarding, basically a short conversational intake
right,
that helps the platform learn or understand the definition of your business. It
right,
builds up a business profile as you go. And those questions could be few in nature, or they could be, quite lengthy.
right.
They're also context sensitive.
Yeah,
Um, and it could be as many as 50 question and answers, that kind of stuff. And that's what gives recommendations and stuff like that a certain confidence level
yeah,
later on. Is the more questions you answer, the better you define your business, the more
yeah,
certain the recommendations are, right? Step two is, after that is basically an automatic generation of everything relevant
right.
to your business as you've defined it. That's
Yeah,
frameworks, disclosures, metrics, et cetera, all basically brought into a standard set of pillars and themes,
yeah,
right? Even adds in stakeholders, all basically tailored to your business model.
yeah,
Step three is basically an AI supported evidence collection, right? You can't get around the fact that the AI is going to need to ask for certain information and
yeah,
data and evidence, right? That's what compliance is all about. And you don't want an AI tool assuming that you're compliant and have evidence when you haven't provided it, right?
right,
But the system basically helps identify, upload, and link proof against each requirement
right,
while suggesting strategies for improvement.
right,
And step four and onward is basically a gap analysis and task assignment,
right,
right? What you need to do, what the priorities are, et cetera, et cetera.
right,
And, you know, then it comes down to a continuous cycle of improvement and reporting.
right.
So compliance isn't just achieved once. It's not just an assessment and, here's what we think you might need to do, right? It's basically, it tells you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, et cetera. And it's sustained and refined
Yeah,
over time. It's learning from you the whole
yeah,
time. And that's how pAIpertrail turns compliance from a project into a process.
right, right. Because at the end, we have the all the policies that actually have to be checked, and then based on your evidence, is start to show what is going on and deliver these questions or requests of information or requirements that they are missing.
Mhm.
Um, so, so who exactly did you build this for? So, and what kind of framework does he support right now? Like, because we are now in the wait list for the first 100 adopters. So, what do people will expect in the first batch, if you may?
Okay. Our initial focus is going to be UK SMEs and mid-market
Right.
firms that need to comply with multiple frameworks.
Yeah.
At launch, it'll cover all the major UK frameworks,
Right.
not just the mandatory ones, not just the mandates, but also the best practices that would be expected by certain stakeholders, especially if you're involved in a supply chain, right?
Right.
So elements of ISO 27001,
Right.
Cyber Essentials, ISO 9001, ESG frameworks like GRI and TCFD,
Right.
EPR,
Yeah.
ISO 14001, and the UK Corporate Governance Code.
Right.
Basically, giving any UK business a complete and credible compliance profile from day one.
Wow.
So, whether you're just starting your compliance journey or
Yeah.
prepping for some kind of a certification or audit, it'll basically meet you where you
Right.
are and help you progress from there.
Well, actually, this is a broad range to cover because just from the mandatory in the UK, just from any director, CFO, CEO, in the mandatory ones, they will have around 7 that they have to do yes or yes. And if they are in scope, they have another 9, not talking about ESG or EPR or any of the other. So that would be around 18 frameworks. So that's a lot. So it's a large coverage. So what kind of
Yeah.
impact do users actually notice once they start using it? Because I think actually it feels like a kind of overwhelming at one point, isn't it?
Yeah, but we're the ones dealing with the overwhelming portion, right?
Yeah,
Is, close to 2,000 pages of documentation,
yeah,
thousands of disclosures and metrics, basically distilled into a far simpler presentation. So the
mm,
first thing a user is going to experience is clarity
right,
of where they stand and what applies to them.
yeah,
And the next thing that they would experience is control. So
right.
instead of juggling multiple spreadsheets and checklists, and,
There you are.
that kind
Right,
of thing, pAIpertrail gives you one intelligent view of your compliance position, right?
right.
What's done, what's pending, and what's duplicated. Duplications is the biggest thing that we try to
Yeah,
get rid of. So it basically replaces. You also have to remember that compliance goes cross-functional and cross roles, and
yeah,
can be across an entire team. Very often you find repetition of work. Very often you find repetition of the creation of a single disclosure
yeah,
across, multiple places within a company. And we try to eliminate all of
yeah,
that duplication of effort, and duplication of disclosure and
yeah,
metric tracking, right? So it replaces all that confusion that, with visibility, and
yeah,
it turns compliance from a reactive scramble
yeah.
into a structured management process.
Right, right. And um, we and actually, my next question is kind of I'm very surprised because actually in the landing page when people go to the waiting list, it says actually it's a £1 a day for early adopters. So that
Yeah.
usually for a platform that deal all this complexity, that's usually very low and compared to an app on the phone, but not for a platform like this. So what's the
Mm.
thinking behind that? Because
Well, we want accessibility to drive adoption.
right,
Um, Compliance, I don't think, should be a luxury. Like being able to manage it effectively
right,
shouldn't be a luxury or a specialist service
right,
that requires untold hours of consulting expertise, right?
yeah,
Um, and that's part of our mission is to democratize the whole thing,
right.
just like QuickBooks did with accounting in
All
the
right,
early
yeah,
80s. You know,
yeah,
we're democratizing compliance. That's what we're doing, for the small and mid-sized guy. Yeah.
yeah,
So for £1 per day for our early adopters, businesses can replace weeks of manual effort and thousands of pounds of consultant costs
oh yeah,
with structured, intelligent compliance management. Now, that's not to say that the expertise is missing. We've distilled the expertise. We've been feeding it as we built it,
right,
all of the expertise and the benefit of our expertise and everything available to us, for quite some time now.
right,
It's not a stripped down trial,
right,
for the early adopters. It's the full product. We simply um, priced it to prove that expert grade compliance
right.
can be both powerful and affordable.
Right, right. Because in this age and time, I think we discussed about the technological challenges that the every era or decade have a technological challenge. Um,
Yeah,
and
I like your point there. I don't believe that lobbying governments to reduce compliance friction and stuff like that is the correct approach.
right,
Compliance isn't going to go away, right? I believe that it's become more onerous, more difficult,
yeah,
especially for SMEs and mid-market enterprises to manage it effectively.
yeah,
And I believe that that's a technology problem that
right,
needs to be serviced by a technology company.
yeah,
And that's basically my ethical stance on it, and it's
yeah.
also our commercial stance on it. Yeah.
And actually, this tied nicely because it's pAIpertrail by Trinity, and
Mm,
Trinity. We've been talking Trinity for the past year, that it
mm,
was built exactly for that, to remove silos. One of the challenges that many organizations they have today.
yes,
Why,
correct.
so why to create a separate platform like a pAIpertrail? Isn't that a contradiction of the ethos of
Yeah.
Trinity?
It does sound like a contradiction,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's intentional. There's intention behind it, right?
Right. Right. Okay.
pAIpertrail is what we would call a focused silo, a fast, purpose-built environment for rapid assessment, for
Right.
rapid execution. It's more digestible, it's
Mm.
more affordable, it's faster, right?
Right.
If I was to use a metaphor, let's say, let's use medical care
Right.
as a really good metaphor. Think of pAIpertrail as emergency care,
Right.
right? Rapid triage, diagnosis, and stabilization of the patient.
Right.
Okay. Whereas Trinity, on the other hand, is long-term treatment,
Right.
continuous governance, risk, and operations management over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
It's not that pAIpertrail is only good for the first month. I'm just saying that um, it's a portion, right?
Right.
pAIpertrail is basically we've chipped off a portion of Trinity that we think is more mission critical,
Right.
and we've made it, uh, we basically turned it into a compliance ninja, right?
Right.
And
Right.
basically, pAIpertrail and Trinity share the same data model
Right.
from the compliance perspective.
Right.
And so if a company in the future is ready to grow into long-term care as opposed to emergency care, right?
Right. Right.
Their compliance for their business profile and their compliance profile flow directly and seamlessly into Trinity. No rework. You don't
All
have
right. So it's
no loss of history. Even the historical stuff
right.
gets switched over if they adopt the Trinity platform later on.
Right. Perfect. So it's
So
actually
yes, we've
it's a
created a silo, but it
yeah.
has a different purpose, and I'm sure you would agree. Going to a general practitioner for long-term care is completely different than calling an ambulance and
Yeah.
needing medics on
Yeah.
site, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So understood. So for more companies that are already stretched thin, what's the easiest way to get started then?
Well, that's easy. I would recommend that they go to paipertrail.com,
Right.
www.paipertrail.com,
Yeah.
and sign up as an early adopter.
Right.
Right? Once we launch, it's as simple as starting with the guided onboarding.
Right.
And that's the way the tool is going to work. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
Defining your business is a critical first step, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Within a short period, you'll have a tailored compliance profile to match your business profile, complete with relevant frameworks, disclosures, stakeholders, metrics. It'll be ready for evidence collection. And it's immediate, it's accurate, and designed for teams that don't have the luxury or extra staff or
Yeah.
consultants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Excellent. And well, actually, I think that we covered a lot today.
Yeah.
So stepping back from the detail, what's the bigger vision behind all these, like a paper trail?
Well, I'd say from a vision perspective, I think that for probably longer than was necessary, compliance has been slow and
Right.
expensive and locked behind consulting hours,
Yeah.
right? Um, pAIpertrail basically changes that by giving every business access to the same level of intelligence
Yeah.
once reserved for large enterprises,
Right. Right.
right? And we're expanding quickly. That means that we're going to be adding in additional frameworks and regional variants across Europe and the rest of the world, right?
Right.
Ultimately, the tool isn't about automating compliance. It's about democratizing it,
Right.
as I said. We want to do for compliance what QuickBooks did for accounting in the early 80s.
Right.
Take something complex,
Yeah.
exclusive, and consultant driven and make it simple, affordable, and in every business owner's hands.
And I don't think that we need to add any more to here.
I don't think so. That pretty much
Simple,
covers it, Fran.
affordable, and in every business owner hands. That's it.
Yeah.
Right, perfect. I think actually we are continue this session because I think that we need a lot to cover. There are many frameworks, there are many mechanics that can be explained. So thank you very much, Richard. And I think that we'll continue in the next session next week.
Great.
Excellent.
Pleasure
Thank you.
talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.